Hello? Hello? Trying to get myself in place. Hi, good morning. Uh, it's some holiday, isn't it? Is this like, or was that yet? I know it was Valentine's Day. I personally don't observe. I've never liked it. Um, President's Day? Um, Whatever. Hi, how you doing? It is Monday. I know that much. It is the 16th of February. Uh, and it's a Monday, so I'm in my usual Monday state of um, okay, I'll start easy. Uh, the Olympics. I don't know. I'm already sick of them myself, but whatever. Um, I do have to say, can I just say this one thing about that quad god guy, Ilya Malanin, whatever his name is. God bless him. I just so hate the way television operates and our culture, our entertainment culture operates by putting, by creating the narratives that they create and then putting human beings, young ones, in such a state of God. He was an absolute winner in my book by the way he handled that humiliating defeat. I mean, to be so young and I'm sure heartbroken, and to be so, my heart just went out to him. Wondrous. But that cannot necessarily be said for the, everybody around him. And then I just can't stand the way NBC's doing it. And I just, like ruins it. I did watch the hockey American v. Denmark. I think it was on Saturday. And I was rooting for Denmark. Because I mentioned that to someone that evening, and they said, "Why?" I said, "Why?" Well, because we threatened to invade them. We decided that part of their land was ours, and we were going to take it because we were bigger and stronger. Fuck. Why wouldn't I root for their hockey team to beat ours? And then, the way our media work now, the entertainment industry, and that includes news, unfortunately. They create stories, narratives, and the narrative that they decide is how then they cover. They decide on these narratives before the friggin' thing even begins, right? And that's why what were the two big narratives heading into this Olympics from NBC? They focused on two of our competitors, and that would be Lindsey Vonn, who crashed and broke her leg, and Ilya, the quad god, who crashed as well. And then what are they supposed to do? It's just so I don't even care about just watching the Americans. Could I just see the best athletes? Could I just I don't know. I once found myself this would be in 1992. I was in England when the, Summer Olympics were happening. I had just become a single mom, but it was my mom's 70th birthday. I think. 65th maybe. I don't know what the hell one and the whole family had decided at my father's expense to rent a farmhouse in the Cotswolds. Oh, it was just lovely. And I went with my little baby, and, at the time, it was so bizarre as I realized that who was like 8, 6, 7 months old, he'd already been on 3 continents when I schlepped him over to Europe. Um, and the Olympics was on, so I was watching the way the British media covered it, and it was an entirely different experience, and I enjoyed it a lot. I just remember I don't know. I just remember really enjoying it a lot and finding things out that I had never seen before, and I whatever. But our hyper competitive celebrity, culture and that's pretty much going on everywhere now. So, I don't know what I'm talking about. Good God, guys, why don't you write something here? Whoa. Happy Chinese New Year from Malaysia? Well, and right back at you. Come to think of it, when I was in Costco a few weeks ago, I saw this whole little display. It was clearly for people celebrating the Chinese New Year, and I didn't have a clue what Yeah. Well, okay, happy Chinese New Year. But don't you know this is America? We don't do Chinese New Year's here. This is a Christian nation. I have that on very high authority. Secretary of effing State Marco effing Rubio. Don't get me started. Okay, what else you guys talking about? Uh, and how great is it that Kazakhstan yeah, that guy and it was wonderful, wonderful. And how our guy, went up and just embraced him after he had just crashed and burned. Whoa, just whoa. I wrap him in my admiration and, adoration. Oh, Ilya did? Someone's writing here. He went to one of the high schools in the district I work at. We did a couple of stories on him. Super nice kid. Seems so down to earth. Here's somebody saying, hope hockey ends up with the US v Canada. And go Canada! Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? And Sidney Crosby. Um, yeah, yeah. So I think we're all seem to be pretty much of a mind. Oh, so yeah, I'm just not into it. I don't even know who Noah Lyles is. This is how out of it I am. They did the same for Noah Lyles, who I met when I went to another high school I worked at. What do you just go around the country going to high schools where Olympic athletes are? I'm trying to think of Olympic athletes I've known. I've known a few. There was a guy from here, Roger Kingdom, right? And oh, speed skater, this Stoles guy, who's from my neck of the woods in Wisconsin, where there's lots of ice. Um, the speed skater that first turned me on to speed skating or made me aware of it was a guy named Eric Heiden, who I think still holds the record for what, 5 Olympic golds in the same year. Same, he was in 5 races, got 5 golds, and he also was from Wisconsin. And I started my uh, television news career in Madison, Wisconsin. I ended up interviewing Eric Heiden a few times. He was a nice guy. Be an old man now. Good God. Um, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So all these people are in Northern Virginia. That's where you are. A lot of Olympians there, huh? Cool. And some would say Chris Moore retired, sad. Another, yes, yeah, Chris should do what I'm doing. He can do it in his house and at his, leisure. He's been an incredible voice in Pittsburgh broadcasting the entire time I've been here. Um, I talked about him the other day when I saw that it's really his health, and I just wish him all the best. And now, whatever. He was the one thing on KDKA that, you could listen to without, violent retching. Oh, okay. Sorry. I realize I forget that, like, you can see me, and I sit here scratching, and I'm pulling my bra strap, and but I can't help it. I can't help it. And I'm also, when I do see myself, I'm inside out, I'm backwards. When did that happen? It's it's not like what you're expecting. I mean, like a mirror image. They take you and turn you, right? My wife believes progressive talk radio in Pittsburgh died because of ratings. It died because it was killed. Oh, yeah. Who owns the stations? They didn't like what Chris Moore and I were peddling. We had I every time I was on a station, they would decide they got rid of me by changing formats. So TAE went to, "Hey, let's do all sports. That'll get rid of her." And PTT decided, "Let's, we won't have to pay her if we just get nothing but syndicated right wing, because it's all out there." Gone. And in all cases, right, the people who own the vehicle are right wingers. So, what do you expect? I mean, this town had a huge audience for uh, liberal talk. Huge. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. Um, I need to start something here, don't I? Shit. Um, no. I just had a thought, and then I told myself, no. That'd be neat if there could be a bubble over here, and you give it a 5, 6 years, it'll be there. There'll be a bubble here telling you what I'm really thinking when I'm saying something else, right? That'll all Sure, why not? Why not? Why not? Speaking of that, I just have to share this one little tidbit with you about, like, AI and, ah, okay. This is from The Atlantic, my favorite magazine. You'd be surprised how many people you used to read in The Washington Post, they're now at The Atlantic, or they're at The New York Times, or they're whatever, but The Atlantic's got a ton of them. Okay. This is, Josh Jill. That's the problem. It used to be in America, the people that had any positions of power, authority in the you could pronounce their names. They were good American names, straightforward names. Now you got all these names and you never know how the hell to say them. Anyway, here's what he writes. Tasks that once required skill, judgment, and years of training are now being executed relentlessly and indifferently by AI software. That's true. And let me digress. It makes you wonder what all those humans that were using their brains skillfully and doing all this work, gainfully employed. What's going to happen to them? Anyway, because what they used to do and take pleasure in is now being, I love the adverbs, relentlessly and indifferently by AI software. Anyway, the CEO of the AI company Anthropic, who has another suspiciously not American sounding name, he has said that he believes, listen to this, that AI could drive unemployment up 10 to 20%. Oh, in just the next 5 years. Okay. And could, quote, wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs. Now, that's my sense too. I think anybody, and this is the guy who's gonna make money off it, putting all those people out of work. How do they sleep at night? Anyway, Sam Altman, who is the CEO of what's called OpenAI, revealed that, here's his quote, my little group chat with my tech CEO friends has a bet about the inevitable date when $1 billion company is staffed by just one person. These billionaire sons of bitches have side bets on when $1 billion company will have one employee, just somebody to, I guess, keep the AI comfortable. I so hate these people. On the other hand, I did read an article, maybe in the New York Times this weekend, about an old woman, 85, 86, who lives in a very remote area in Washington state and is determined to stay in her home, and how she was, as part of a test group, given a little robot, a little thing, looks like a little lamp, sits on the table next to her. And she was very resistant. But after a year, she loves the thing. And it does it gives me the creeps. It does engage her in conversation, plays games with her, checks to make sure she's taking her meds, all that kind of stuff. And she now has decided it's a positive, not a negative, although it took her a while. God. Yeah. Okay. So guys, I wish I could just sit and talk to all you on chat here, but I can't. And then when I come and look, I shouldn't do that. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Okay. A few things I just want to get in. There's so much. I believe I mentioned his name before. Why did I mention his name before? The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Because he was in the news also because he showed up at the European Security Summit and I guess unlike the vice president who showed up to the summit last year, he didn't openly excoriate our former allies. That'd be the Europeans. No, but people talking about Rubio like he, was a step up is just so unsettling because is it dark in here? Because listen to what he said. Got it here somewhere. Listen to what the son of a bitch said. Excuse me. I know I swear. I shouldn't swear. It's not. I think I've told you, my own brother recoils. It upsets him. He leaves the room. Okay. So the United States Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, popped up and he said this to the Europeans. We are part of one civilization, Western civilization. We are bound to one another by the deepest bonds that nations could share, forged by centuries of shared history, Christian faith, culture, heritage, language, ancestry, and the sacrifices of our forefathers made for the common civilization to which we have fallen heir. I am so up to here with this white Christian nationalistic Western civilizations. Yeah. Their idea that the people who built this country were white. I'll tell you what, the people who built the country were black and they didn't get paid for it. White Christians? Well, that erases my family. And I assure you, my grandparents and my parents contributed mightily to this country. I so despise these people. And I don't know if you saw that the guy who opened this summit was the Chancellor of Germany. Quick, who's the Chancellor of Germany? You don't have a clue. What's the last Chancellor of Germany you remember? Me too. Angela Merkel, right? Yeah. But now there's a guy named Merz. Reminds me of my cat, Bonnie Mertz. But it's Merz. And he opened the whole thing by saying, "We Germans know a world in which might makes right is a dark place. Our country has gone down that path in the 20th century until the bitter and dreadful end." He was talking about the United States. And he went on to say, "The culture war of the MAGA movement is not ours. Freedom of speech ends here with us when that speech is turned against human dignity and the Constitution." This is a German saying this. And he went on, "And we don't believe in tariffs and protectionism, but in free trade. We stand by climate agreements and the World Health Organization," is what he was saying to Donald Trump. Yeah. Ha ha! Ha! Someone's written on chat, "You are guided by partisan politics and shamefully excuse malfeasance by one of the parties, dooming yourself to the pit of ignorance." You think I'm carrying water for the Democrats? Uh, I'm carrying water for people who value our Constitution. That's all. I'm carrying water for people who aren't fucking fascists. Speaking of what the fucking fascists are, did you see? I happened upon a little snippet from a hearing. I think it was in the Senate. Yeah, it was. It was a Senate Foreign Relations Committee because they have to sign off on a nominee that Trump has put forward, which is unusual in its own right, since usually he just appoints somebody and calls them acting this, and he avoids the whole constitutional Senate sign off thing. So this guy, his name is Jeremy Carl. And he's got an impressive resume. Oh, the think tanks, Claremont Institute, Stanford professor, blah, 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 blah. But then, if you watched, he appeared to be a blithering idiot because he believes in that white culture, that's what he calls it, and white identity is under attack. And that's a big part of the whole MAGA thing, of their racism. White culture. And he was simply asked, the thing I saw is he was asked, what exactly is white identity? Could you define that? And why is it in what way is it under attack? And this guy hemmed and hawed. You can't pull white. He was talking about white culture. What is that? Is that like burning crosses on people's lawns and hanging innocent black people from trees? What is white culture? Elvis Presley, who took all his stuff from black culture? What is what? So this guy, when pressed, couldn't say a damn thing. He is up for being the Assistant Secretary of State. That put him right next to Marco. The Assistant Secretary of State for International Organization Affairs. Who the hell knows what that's really about? But that means he'd be representing our country. And by the time he finished his stellar hearing, one of the Republicans on the committee said, I'm not voting for him. I don't believe that Jeremy Carl is the right person to represent our nation's best interest in international forums. That was from a Republican. Here's some of the things he said. White Americans are increasingly second-class citizens in a country that their ancestors founded, and which until recently they were the overwhelming majority of the population. Now that tells you right there why brown and black and people are being plucked off our streets and put in concentration camps. They're being very out front. They're going to make this country white again. It never was. We took it from brown people, the white people. Jesus effing Christ. He's into the great the replacement theory, which is anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-everything you can imagine. The one that the Jews are manipulating everything and are going to be replacing all the white Americans with all these brown people and black people. And this genius believes it. Wow. Now, if you think that this will nix his chances, is not necessarily so, because other people who have said exactly the same kind of stuff, or even worse, have been confirmed to positions. I give you just one. That would be a guy named Darren Beatty, or Beatty, you might pronounce it. He is now a senior State Department official, and he likes to go to gatherings of white nationalists and speak there. And here's one of the things he has said, and he still made it through. He said, competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. The little snowflakes. They didn't used to have to compete against anybody but themselves. Fuck. Oh, and other people who have, gotten positions, all the people who were the major, e election denier thing, those jerks that Trump won, that in 2020, that it was rigged, yeah, those guys, guess what they're all doing now? Not all of them, but a whole bunch. They're in charge of election integrity now. You can't make it up. There's a guy named Kurt Olson. He is now director of election security and integrity, and he's got power. He can refer criminal investigations about, I don't know, voting machines. It was his nonsense that they used to break into the Fulton County, get the warrant for the Fulton County voting records heist. There's a woman with the wondrous name of Heather Honey. It's like a drag queen name, isn't it? Heather Honey. Anyway, Heather Honey is now at the Department of Homeland Security overseeing, guess what? Election integrity. And she is another major election denier. And so all these people who denied and said the election was rigged are now in position to rig the upcoming election because they're there to oversee its integrity. You can't make it up. Okay, what else I got here? Good God, this is, not what do we care, because we're not freezing to death. But there was a really remarkable story. I did not know about this at all, so I'm just gonna, because I was like gobsmacked, I'm gonna bother you with it. You know what's going on in Youngstown? Youngstown, for those of you who aren't here, is a hop, skip, and a jump from Pittsburgh. And Youngstown, I always think of sort of like a baby brother. Youngstown was a big steel manufacturing industrial town, and it suffered the same, rise and fall as Pittsburgh when the steel industry up and left. But it has not been as successful in climbing out of that hole. And there's a story, a full-page story in the New York Times about how the utility, the public utility that provides heat for much of Youngstown has gone insolvent. The heating infrastructure has pretty much collapsed. And people in Youngstown are freezing through this extraordinarily cold winter. When City Hall opened Wednesday morning, there was no heat. People are working in their or not. It's just, the story is unbelievable. And that's a public utility. And efforts to get the state of Ohio, which is Republican, and Republicans don't really do government. They do power, not this kind of power. They do power, but they don't do government. But that Republican legislature and their Republican, Public Utility Commission and their Republican governor, Mike DeWine, have absolutely done not one thing to help the people in Youngstown. I read this thing and I kept looking to see what? I'm just saying. There are you wonder where Americans started to feel like things were not working for them. because things aren't working for them. That's where they got the idea. Unfortunately, a lot of them have reacted in a self-defeating way. They listened to the claptrap coming from Donald Trump and decided he was the guy that was going to make things better for them. How's that going? Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about anybody but Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about the United States of America. He cares about it only as much as it and the position he finds himself in it can enrich him. And anyone who still somehow can't see that when it's so blatant in your face is being willfully ignorant. Unbelievable. I don't know where to start here, guys. I guess I have started, so that's absurd. What do we got time left? Okay, we got 20 minutes. Okay, I'll give you a little break here. I read about the most disgusting thing, and I'm going to share it with you. It's a new, I hope this is a trend that's going nowhere. I can't imagine that it would. And supposedly, it is something that younger folk are into, certainly not, God knows, not me, because I love to eat. It turns out that there are young people to whom eating is, just a chore that they just as soon get over quickly. They certainly don't want to cook. And so there are entrepreneurs out there who are aware of these people and are marketing to them. These are the people who are fine with having a meal be something like you're an astronaut. It's in a pouch and you squirt it into your mouth. You get all the stuff you need. Maybe even better than somebody like me who's going to go and, you know, cook a little and enjoy my meal, eating, masticating. No, these guys, I just wonder if this is where we're heading, if humans are going to just suck things through straws for nutrition, and we're going to simply ask computers for every piece of information we need or want, then why would we have teeth after a while? Why would we have brains? And if Darwin was right and evolution is right, then humans are making themselves into what? What? What's the purpose? If you just suck nutrition as opposed to the pleasure of eating? I don't know, guys. So anyway, listen to what this company is putting out there. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of these, health food stores where people do go in and they get these all-in-one nutrition shake. And that's their breakfast or that's their lunch because these guys are in a hurry. I'm not sure why. What's the hurry? And where are they going? Since they won't have jobs. I don't understand any of this. And there's one they talk about, and it costs $70 a bag, and you That's the shake, and you, I guess, scoop things in and put what I can't even friggin' imagine. Um, what? There's actually something called Soylent? I was going to say, it's what I thought. What what are what will we be for? And then I thought of Soylent Green. It says here that these ready-to-drink meals are spiritual descendants of Soylent, the coder-endorsed meal replacement made from soy protein isolate that conquered Silicon Valley more than a decade ago. Ugh. And so all those tech bros who are destroying our lives, the tech billionaires, they were sucking this shit up? Yeah. Okay, so they talk about this young woman, Savannah Riley, who doesn't like a meal to last more than 30 seconds. And at the time they talked to her, she was sucking up a liquid salad. I mean, I could barf. A liquid salad. She's a government employee who lives in Redding, California, and she doesn't like to waste time chewing. The liquid salad is a blend of cucumber, kale, celery, okra, broccoli, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. It says all of this crap is targeting Americans who feel busier and more health conscious than ever. What are they doing? Fans, I'm sorry, I'm sharing this with you guys. It's so creep me out. Fans of these next generation meal replacements say that in the overstimulating landscape of late stage capitalism, it feels good to streamline mealtime. Well, it seems to me in this chaos of late stage capitalism, where we'll end up eating our neighbors, I think that mealtime is one of the few times that still offer us pleasure, human companionship. You know, people used to sit down together and they didn't have these things and they talked and chewed. Yeah, they did. Oh God. And they didn't feel like they were wasting their time. Oh my God. Here's another quote. This is from a mother of two. Anything that can come into your life and create any sort of ease or convenience and not add to your mental load, that's desirable. Whoa. What's she feeding her kids? And here, one more. I'm just saying, I don't get this. Jordan Brock, age 42. He's in the military reserves. He drinks this crap, and he so faithfully that he recalls a time when eating solid food would make his jaw hurt. And here's a quote or two from him. I deeply value the fact that I don't need to think much about food. The simplicity is a relief. He goes on. It is a rebellion to the whole consumerist idea. Bullshit, buddy. You are the ultimate. This is where the consumerist leads to valuing convenience over everything. I, and it says here that, like, what does he do when other people are eating? He works out. So here's a guy. He gonna be buff. But his head, uh, his head be probably pretty empty. Oh God, guys, liquid salad. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm now reading your stuff. So excuse me if those of you who aren't reading the stuff are wondering why I'm all of a sudden quiet. I don't know. Watchman's going to make a real salad for lunch and enjoy every bit. And Doug's wondering if the liquid salad thing is from people who do TikTok, need everything condensed and quick. But that's just where the whole culture's heading. If you can't do it, if you can't do something in less than 15 seconds or 30 seconds, then the people that are coming of age in this convenience culture are they've moved on. I once, not too long ago, actually, in one of my medical adventures, I was injected with radioactive material. And then I was put in a room and told to lie very still for, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever. And the nurse said, I'm going to turn the lights off and you just please don't move, just lie there. And I thought, shit, this is wondrous. So I was fine. It was quiet. There was no music. There was no sound. That was so easy peasy for me. And when she finally came back, I said to her, I was thinking that for some people, right, this would be unbearable. And she said, oh, yeah. We do have people who can't do it. We do. We'll give them headphones. We'll give them something. We'll strap them down. We'll whatever, but they can't do it. They can't. There's all kinds of people who cannot do silence, and that is a growing crowd. I love silence. I just so love it. Can't do silence, can't do stillness. Um, And all of that is, again, part of this frenetic speed thing they've got us on. And I just I so don't get it. I don't get all the people walking down the street. You know how you're still I remember when this first started happening, I made a fool of myself a few times because I didn't understand they weren't talking to me. But all the people walking down the street talking, they're not even holding a phone, they're just talking. You hear their end of the conversation. They walk by you totally see, now I would be so uncomfortable doing that in a public space, having a private conversation like that. Um, but I mean, it just shows we are younger people growing up behind me are just totally socially uh, have a different experience. And people out, walking their babies, but on their phones or with headphones on. And again, I think, doesn't anybody just want to listen to the sound around them, the natural sound? I guess that's something that most people will not do now. I think it's such a loss. So in order to torture a young person now, all you have to do is tell them to sit still and provide them no audio, video of any kind. Just sit still with their thoughts. With their thoughts, they might actually start to think on their own. God. Okay. Fuck a duck. I didn't talk about Epstein, but maybe I will tomorrow with Susan. I really think that the Epstein thing is going to, yeah, ultimately take a lot of these people down. I do. I mean, it's doing so in other countries. Our shameless culture that makes celebrities out of vile beings. Do you remember that guy named Buttafuoco? He was this vile character. Did he murder his wife or something? And this is a long time ago now. And I remember when he became like and we have a culture in which shame doesn't exist. Two of the things that like lots of cultures um, have been based on, I think, are honor. That's one of my brother's areas of expertise, honor cultures. God knows we ain't one. Honor, and along with an honor culture would come the importance of shame. And we really have, and epitomized by the people in the White House, the people who have the power in our country. And it does, it says something about us. We have a shameless, dishonorable leadership. And that's why I was rooting for Denmark. And it's why chants of USA, USA have always left me cold. And I love this country. I do love this country. I just don't like the way it's marketed. And I don't like its inability to come to terms with its history, all its history. It bespeaks an immaturity that is off-putting, to say the least. Okay, I think I'm done. Oh my God, I'm overdone. Okay. Hey guys, thank you. Is what it is. And I'm going to now sign off. And I'm getting used to this not having an intro and not having an outro, but maybe someday we'll get one back again and have this be a little more polished. But who gives a shit? Anyway, have a good one. Bye. Is warming up. Enjoy.